Good evening, this is Michelle Abad, multimedia reporter at Rappler, and I'm coming to you live from the Manila Hotel, where the COMELEC just concluded the proclamation of the winning 54 party list groups that are set to take seats in Congress. So the COMELEC, sitting as the National Board of Canvassers, proclaimed 52 out of the 54 party list groups that will take up the 63 seats in Congress that are allocated for party list groups, and almost 50 million votes were cast in this party list race. Note that the probably one of the biggest headlines from earlier today was that the National Board of Canvassers suspended the proclamation of two party list groups because of pending cases against them. And so it was actually revealed earlier this morning in a press conference before the actual proclamation ceremony with COMELEC Chairman George Garcia, who said that there were two groups. One of them was a group that won 3 seats and another that won 1 seat. And so it was only found out and only confirmed later on in the proclamation ceremony that began at 3 p.m. that these two groups were Duterte Youth, which placed second in the race and is supposed to be entitled to 3 seats in Congress, and the other one is BH, or Bagong Generacion. So there were pending cases against them. So just to recap a little bit, the Duterte Youth party list group has a case filed against her, at least 2 cases filed against it for alleged misrepresentation of the youth, and then the other one, BH, has a case of alleged intervention of public officers in campaigns or partisan activities. So because these 2 groups have pending cases against them, the COMELEC, sitting as the NBOC, decided to suspend their proclamation later today, or rather earlier today. Although their names were read out loud and how many votes they garnered, their names were not put onto the screen as the other groups were. So with the suspension of the Duterte Youth Party list and also the Duterte Youth Party list proclamation, only 2 other party list groups will be entitled or are confirmed to take up 3 seats each, one of which was Akbayan, which won 3 seats as the top of the list and the top runner of the list, who got 3 seats, and the other one is Tingog, which placed 3rd and got 3 seats as well. So the rest of the winning party list groups will either get 2 or 1 seats. And so again, just to recap as well how these seats are allocated, the groups need at least 2% of the vote to be able to get 1 seat. And remember that each voter can only choose 1 party list when they cast their votes. And so the rest, actually, the COMELEC may distribute based on the rule that requires 20% of the seats in the House of Representatives to be allocated to party list groups. So it is possible that the other groups that did not get 2% might still have a chance to get inside, as long as they fulfill or they rank and they fit into the 63 that the COMELEC decided would be the seats that will go into the next Congress. And so questions were raised earlier by groups whether to raise the seat allocation to 64, but the National Board of Canvassers eventually decided to round it down to 63, since the computation that was coming out was 63.5, and the NBOC decided that it was impossible for half of a seat to be allocated, so they rounded it down. And so since only 52 groups were proclaimed today, we only know for sure who will occupy 59 seats out of the 63 that will be allocated for the party list groups in Congress. And so the COMELEC also clarified that just because Duterte Youth and BH, just because their proclamation was suspended today, it does not mean that they lost. Actually, they acknowledged that those 2 groups won in the party list race, but that their proclamation was suspended. Earlier, Chairman George Garcia said that they thought it would be better to do so while the cases are still unresolved, because it would cause confusion. It would also be unfair for these groups if they were proclaimed today, if their hands were raised in the air, and later on turns out that they might be disqualified, or their party list might be canceled. And so they thought to only do the proclamation once these cases are resolved, should they be ruled in their favor. So also about the Duterte Youth case, Duterte Youth actually stands for duty to energize the Republic through enlightenment of the youth sectoral party list organization. So it does have a meaning, although obviously we can see that the Duterte Youth Party List has an acronym that is connected to the Duterte dynasty, probably also the former President Rodrigo Duterte. And so they have a case actually that has been around since 2019, where petitioners said that the group's registration is void ab initio, or void from the very beginning, because it does not genuinely represent the youth. And so until now, they have been, this case has been in limbo, and just last March, the same petitioners asked the COMELEC to speedily resolve this petition, since it has been many years and it has not seen a resolution. And so the COMELEC then also said that it sought to resolve this case since it's been far too long. Although they said that back in March, it's already May and they still have not resolved that. So they seek to resolve the case by June 30, which is when the newly elected party list groups will assume office. But enough about those disqualification, or rather the cancellation or suspension of their proclamations today. I'll talk a little bit about the winners as well. So of course we have the top party list, Akbayan, which was met with a lot of applause when they were proclaimed earlier. So Akbayan did get 3 nominees in. So the first nominee is human rights lawyer Chel Jokno. Second is former National Youth Commission Commissioner Percy Sandanya, and women's rights advocate Dada Kiram Ismula. So those are the 3 that got in, and they said that they have a deep commitment to progressive reforms. They also said in a statement earlier today that they have legislative priorities of the security of tenure bill, or for those who aren't familiar with this, it's the bill that seeks to end contractualization of workers in the Philippines. They also want to prioritize the 200 peso wage hike bill, which has been contentious in the Congress, in the 19th Congress rather, and that the senators and the party list, or rather the congressmen, have not been able to resolve whether to pass this across-the-board legislated wage hike for minimum wage earners. Akbayan wants to push that forward in the 20th Congress if it does not pass this in this 19th Congress, which is set to end next month. And they also want to prioritize, for example, extended or expanded student subsidies, especially for the sector of for students in education, of course. And so it is also to note that the first nominee of Akbayan, Chel Jokno, is set to be part of the prosecution panel in the impeachment trial versus Vice President Sara Duterte. And so since this is very notable, this also brings me to another notable winner in the party list race, which is, of course, ML. And so they were allocated 1 seat, and this seat will belong to human rights lawyer and former Senator Leila de Lima. And so Leila de Lima was also invited to be part of this prosecution panel in the impeachment trial against Vice President Duterte. And so just to recap a little bit about de Lima's journey, so she was one of the staunchest critics of former President Rodrigo Duterte, and she has been cleared of all her drug charges that stemmed during that administration, which is why she was freed in 2023 after almost 7 years in detention. And so she was here today. We got to speak to her a little bit. She was very, very excited. But she is also facing her current challenge, which is how the commission, or rather the Court of Appeals reversed her acquittal in one of her 3 drug cases. But however, her legal team says that this does not mean that she will go to jail again. She also affirmed that earlier today when we spoke to her at the chance interview we had with her, that this does not mean that she will go back to jail just because there was a reversal of her acquittal. And then they said that they will file a motion of consideration for the CA to reconsider its decision. So in an interview as well, Ms. Leila de Lima said that they were confused about the decision, especially after all of that, and also considering the timing of the decision, that it just came out a few days ago after the proclamation of winners. And so, but although she was confused about it, she did say that she was very excited and ready to champion truth and justice. So these are our latest updates from here at the Manila Hotel on the proclamation of winning party list groups. Keep following Rappler for more updates on the Philippine elections. We will be updating you especially on the Rappler Communities app, so we'll see you there, and we will also have continued conversations there. Again, this has been Michelle Abad reporting to you from Manila.